here we go. I'm out for a bit of a ride. I have earned it. I don't know how to explain. This bike underneath me is like riding a Pegasus. Of course, that could probably be rough. I don't know, riding a cloud. It's just so smooth and quiet, and a bit of the whole how did we get here perspective. You know how again, you need the context. You know how I've been going on and on about how I've been annoyed with the service done on my motorcycle, and it's funny because there's some points I'm going, they've actually done a really good job. I'm very pleased with what they did. Well, kind of all came to a head on a ride I did. I don't know, almost 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no. It was last weekend. Seriously, last weekend on the Saturday. I did a charity ride. Seriously. A charity ride. Okay, what the hell? Okay, I think I have something to. Okay, there's something that's just not working right here. Just a second. Okay, people. I've had a little bit of a technical issue with my mirror somehow becoming loose. Don't know how that happened, but let's get back out there and see what's going on. Okay, so I just finished spending a couple of minutes getting to this point talking about my bike, and I see as I'll get distracted by my mirror, I am going to start over again. So, the bike I'm riding right now feels like a dream. I feel like I'm riding on a cloud. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's powerful, it shifts well. And I've been rather, I guess, distracted of late because I've been looking at this bike and kind of almost regretting riding because of all things, noise. What kind of noise, you say? Grinding noise, rubbing noises, brake noises, stuff like that. And, I'll go backwards into a bit of history if you've watched any of my previous vlogs, moto vlogs, that ever since I got this bike, I've been very happy with it as a whole. But the thing is I've been kind of fed up and disappointed with the service that I was getting from from the dealership I bought it from. They hadn't done any service when I bought the bike. They said, "Oh well, 24,000 kilometers. It's only got 20 on it. We don't need to do anything for another 4,000 kilometers." Not giving me any. I mean, they didn't tell me that beforehand, but when I made said, "Well, I'll pay this. You can do this on the trade-in. Blah blah blah." I'm going, it's a good deal, but I'd like to have all the maintenance up to date before I take it. So I know where everything is starting from. I know where I know how long I have until oil change. I know my chain is all lubed and inspected and tight and all that stuff. And they didn't do it. And one of my first clues was just the fact that within 1,000 kilometers I was looking and my little oil bubble, was black. And I've been told even within 500 kilometers it turns black. But also within 1,000 kilometers my chain was already getting loose. And I was saying, well, I can't be coming into the dealership every 1,000 kilometers to have it tightened and lubed and cleaned. I mean, I'm not going to be paying $75 every 1,000 kilometers, to have that done. So, we had the issues obviously with COVID and issues, getting service and stuff done. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to? I don't know. I still really hadn't figured out what I was going to do. But anyways, I ended up going out and buying the appropriate tools in order to do that kind of maintenance myself. I don't think it's inappropriate to go and say, okay, well, I'm not going to pay somebody else to do it. I had no idea why. I went to the dealership and they said, yeah, it's probably just needs to be lubed and blah, blah, blah. And you're supposed to check it every 500 to 1,000 kilometers anyways. And I'm going, okay, yeah, I get you're supposed to check it, but am I supposed to actually have to fix it, and tighten it and all that stuff every 500 to 1,000 kilometers? And the general answer is, well, depending on the age of the chain. Well, of course, I get all these kind of, depends on. And I'm kind of tired of hearing these, like, depends on. I guess it's not the kind of thing that you like hearing from the dealership. It's like, okay, you're the one who does the maintenance. You're the one who sells these things. Can you tell me what it is? Fine. Tell me I need a new chain. I put a new chain on. And I would argue the fact that if I needed to put on a chain at 21,000 kilometers, then there should have been a chain put on it at 20,000 kilometers when I got it. So, anyways, I was at that point where I was looking for some answers. I was looking for some clarity. And I guess I just put too much trust in them. Anyways, all this to say is that every time I tried to tighten my chain, I would end up getting a sh 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 noise. And now I don't know what this sounds like in the microphone of my Senna as I'm riding, but you know, you can tell it was a rubbing noise, a periodic one, you know, rhythmic, cyclic. So so most of the time, what would I do? I kind of let off on the tension just ever so slightly so that it would go away. But whenever I tighten it to the appropriate tension, it would cause this noise. And the funny thing is I did that so often, and then I, you know, was told by a few people, including a ride I did last week, and a charity ride where there's somebody who's fairly knowledgeable, has ridden for 30 some years, and was saying, well, you know, your chain is too tight, you should tighten it. So we tightened it right there, and then the whole rest of the ride I have that very loud so that everybody can hear. People are pointing at my thing, and it's my rear brake rotor, or my front brake rotors, or and I'm like, okay. It's funny because at one point I was almost thinking about ordering a new rotor. Come to find out they're $300 a piece, and you can only get the original, the OEM. And I had the same person say, well, don't buy that just yet. And I guess I'm glad I didn't. You know, try, you know, taking apart the brakes, you know, and the brake pads that you had already finished replacing. Take them apart and get them, you know, sand them down, lube up all the little pins. Because it sounds, you know, because even he and other mechanics, like the mechanic at the dealerships, it's probably because your brake pads, you know, the sliders that the brake pads go on haven't been lubed properly. Things are binding up and this and that. It's like, okay, well, I did all that stuff. Didn't change anything, but when I actually took the brake pads off, or the whole brake caliper unit off, and spun my back wheel, and guess what? It was still binding up. And I kind of figured that because sitting on the chain side, looking through at the backside, excuse me, looking at the backside of the brake caliper, I'm looking and saying, this is it's not at the same point on the rotor. So it's like, doesn't look like the rotor itself is warped because it's happening in a different spot, which made me look closer at the chain that was right in front of me and realize that the chain itself was binding up. It's like, what? What do you mean the chain is binding up? Everybody's told me that the chain is in good condition, that there's nothing wrong with the chain, and I should just, you know, leave it and it's something else. So, there I am realizing that it seems that the whole problem is the chain. Now, it's a hypothetical because until you actually change the chain, there is no way of knowing. No way of knowing at all. So I look around and see if I can get a chain locally, and of course the price of the chains a little bit scary. Anyways, I ended up ordering one of the chains off of Amazon, and you know, good chain, not all that expensive, and it was one that came with a clip master link, so I ordered a rivet master link, and I figured, okay, well, I can at least put on the clip one first, and then I can switch, you know, if that solves the problem, I can switch to the riveted one. I thought that was a decent idea. I just thought that would be a decent idea. I also realized that if I was going to rivet it, I'd need a riveting tool, and if I wasn't going to if I was going to deal with my cutting the link off, getting the link off, I need a tool for that. Now the thing is, I didn't want to use this tool to punch it out, you know, and the thing is even to use the tool, people say that you need to grind the end of the link off. I'm going, okay, seriously, you know, you want me to grind things? So I end up going off and getting an angle grinder, battery powered, obviously. So because I'm outside in a parking lot, I don't really have the luxury of plugging things in. And of course that requires buying the discs and everything else. So I end up going off and buying that stuff. So basically here I am, I've got I've got the tool, I got a chain coming, and it's actually an up-to-date quality chain. The one that was originally on my bike was a DID VP, so a 520 VP2. VP2, which I found out actually is a chain for 500cc engines, and this is a 650, so I can kind of understand the possibility of why the chains stretch so badly. So I ended up ordering a 520, a DID 520 VX3 Pro Street. Gold. Why not? Look fancy. So I picked that up. I ordered it at least. And the thing is it didn't show up. I was expecting it's supposed to show up on Thursday. I ordered it on Monday night, I believe. By Thursday, I got, on Wednesday, something like that, or Tuesday, I ended up getting something saying, oh, well, your package was damaged in transit and therefore is not going to be delivered. It's like, okay, great. I thought I was going to end up having my chain. And they hadn't refunded me anything. They just, they literally just, said it's not being delivered. And kind of a little confused. And I start looking around and trying to find if I can get a chain again in Ottawa. And of course, can't find out because nobody will actually tell you what they have. And of course, trying to find something that is stated compatible with your motorcycle, because I wasn't really impressed with the original one. Anyways, I went back to Amazon. And just, I paid like $14 or something like that in order to get it shipped within 2 days. The one that was damaged in transit. And so on Wednesday, I said, okay, I really need this chain. I'm not going to let this go. I ordered one that was supposed to have showed up by Thursday at 9 p.m. It's like basically one day overnight shipping kind of thing. And the thing is it didn't. It seemed that it hadn't even been left their facility until Friday morning. It was finally picked up by the courier. And started its journey to me. So anyways, as you can tell, it didn't show up that morning or that night. I said didn't even show up the next. So it didn't show up until Friday. At which time I had already called them up and said, well, and I'll be honest, this one I ordered, it wasn't, I couldn't just get that same chain. It wasn't, it all had 2 or 3 days shipping. No U-turns. I guess I'm turning left. Can't turn right. Anyways, all that to say is that it wasn't even the same chain. It was a VX2 instead of the VX3. It was black instead of gold, and it was also came with a sprocket set. Again, more than I needed, more than I actually wanted, I guess you could say. And more expensive. And similarly, it in itself also came with its own link, rivet link. So the rivet link I bought, the gold one for the VX3, is no longer usable, and that was like another, whatever it was, $20-some, which of course I paid additional shipping in order to have it there at the same time as I was doing everything else. So now I have like an extra link for a chain model that I don't have. I have sprockets that I, can use eventually if I ever get to that point on this bike, changing the sprockets, but that I had no intention of using and installing. Again, I will make the best use out of it eventually. Anyways, it's just kind of annoying. And anyways, it showed up on Friday. So here I am. I go outside and I'm doing schoolwork at the time, and I'm so distracted because I've been so frustrated by everything in relation to this chain, and the fact that, and even that Friday morning I got up and I went to the same dealership where I got the bike from, and I was looking at chains, and all they have is 90, 100, 110, 120, and that you have to cut your own. You have to cut your own chains. It's like, seriously? I mean, I was trying to avoid even having to cut and press and all these other kind of things, the chains. And then all of a sudden I'm being told, well, yeah, even to get yours to the right length, you need to you need to cut, a 120 down. It's like, oh, I don't want that. Like, anyways, I know I'm whining, but anyways, we get to this point where they're not saying anything. They're not admitting anything. They're not agreeing to anything. You're saying, yeah, well, the thing is basically somehow all of it's, the implication is all of it's my own fault. In other words, like you mustn't be taking care of your chain and your all that other stuff properly. And I don't know. How much lube and clean I've used and how many times I've tightened my own chain and all that other stuff. And basically for me, all the symptoms go back to the original, within 1,000 kilometers, I was always already having these problems, and I brought it up to them, and nobody fixed anything. Nobody addressed the actual problem. So, anyways, by the time I come home, the second chain I ordered, and the things are there, including the tool that I needed, the cool tool. So the tool I ordered was there. That was good. So I said, okay, and I just put the cutoff disc. I went outside, put the cutoff disc on the angle grinder, cut off the old chain. Basically, realized that they had the rivet link put on backwards, and I say that backwards. I mean, my point is that I didn't know where that link was because it was on the inside, anyways, and not the easiest thing to always see. So I cut it off, and obviously I need to change my whatever tension bolts, like the tension adjustment bolts, a whole bunch. I mean, a ton. The opposite direction, just to even get the chain to fit around the sprockets. But it finally does, and it goes on nice and easy. And then I also have to say that I went out and got a caliper so that I could measure the width of the link, because I read about that, making sure it doesn't get too tight. You don't want to go through all this stuff and then end up basically forcing a solid link into it. So, anyways, all that to say, here I am, get the chain off, and then I get everything kind of aligned. I used the tool that I got, which cost, it wasn't like cheap $20 one, it was like $60 again, plus the quicker shipping. Nah, fuck it. Sorry. Bad language. With the extra shipping. And really the first attempt, and the part that actually compresses the two plates, the chain plates on either side, worked out rather well. It got it on there, could hear it, I could feel it. The next issue, though, was actually the trying to flatten or mushroom the rivet head. I mean, requirement, so that it doesn't come off. And as I'm using it, literally the first few turns, and what ends up happening to the tool, well, instead of the rivet head conforming to the shape of the tool, like the riveting tool conformed to the head of the rivet. And the thing is I couldn't even get that tool, I mean, it's long story short, the tool basically was destroyed, and I'm sitting there with the rivet in there, but not mushroomed properly. So obviously I can't ride with it. And so anyways, I go out and buy a center punch kit, because I researched it on Google and other people have done that, to flatten the head. Well, that didn't work. Maybe if the chain is like on a workbench, something like that would work. But really didn't work when it's on the bike. So, anyways, called around to a bunch of motorcycle stores in Ottawa and asked them, do you have any of these tools? And goes right back to the only place that actually has a tool. Was actually the same dealership where I bought the bike from, the same one that I had been to that same morning, the same one that I have all these problems with, have the tool. So, and it's an hour before closing. Anyways, I drive all the way out there in my car, go get the tool. And come back to my bike, and the tool works perfectly the first time. Nice, good quality, well worth the $70-some I paid for, compared to the $60-some for basically the other one, which died on the first time I used it. So, anyways, finally got the chain on it, and didn't take it out I took it out around my parking lot without any gear on, just to try it out. Everything sounded good. I also installed, I don't know if you can see this little switch here. Out there you can see some lights, some fog lights to give me some extra visibility, both people seeing me and me seeing the road. I bought those things and those I've had for a little while, but I installed it. Not without any problems, but still relatively straightforward. All this to say, is that I'm a little bit frustrated through all this stuff, and now this trip you've seen me on for whatever the last number of minutes has actually been my very first real ride since I bought the bike with a proper chain, smooth chain, with no looseness to it, properly done, best that I could possibly do. Now granted, now I have, I'm just saying, I have a solid metal kind of axe wedge that I have now that I was trying to use to do the rivet. I have a caliper that I could use potentially in the future, but I doubt it. I have two riveting tools, one of them which is a piece of junk, and I'm going to send back to to Amazon with a note, about how crappy it is and how it broke on the first use. So I have 2 rivet tools. I have an extra set of sockets for my bike. I have so much extra stuff. Just, I could have gone to a dealership and said, here, can you diagnose everything and sort it out for me? But would I have learned anything? I still have the chain. I still have all of the contents. I have the resources. I have the tools. And the experience, and that's going to go a long way, because if I'm going to continue to ride and not buy like a Harley or something that has a shaft drive, I need to be able to do this stuff. I need to be able to understand, recognize, does this make sense? Like, why is this happening to, why is this happening to my motorcycle? So the experience, I guess, is worth it. I'm glad I learned. I'm glad I figured all this stuff out. I just said it's frustrating though. The lack of follow through from a dealership. Why is it in 1 week through Amazon? Like, I'm getting all the cheap stuff. Why is it that the one chain seemed to have been lost and the other one wasn't anybody going to do anything about these issues? Why? And sure, I'm happy the company, Amazon gave me back my shipping costs. There's always a possibility that other chain, the first one I ordered, actually shows up next week. So there's a possibility. They said, it's not broken, or it's not been damaged in transit. It's just late. It's delayed. Okay, no problem. If it shows up, great. They've already refunded me the money. This money goes, I have the chain that goes with that link that I bought. In the future, when I have the understanding and tools, you know what? I can take care of the whole thing. I can take care of putting on that new chain with the sockets. And everything will be tickety-boo. Can't remember what I was saying, but all that to say is that I'm just there's been some good aspects and bad aspects, but it seemed like so many other things in my life, just a whole bunch of kind of lack of bad luck. Why did I end up in these situations? I don't know. But right now, the important thing, and that's what I don't want to ruminate on, because right now, this is so nice. You know, this is so smooth. You know, I hear the engine. I don't hear the chain. I don't hear the brakes. I just hear the engine. I hear the road. And that's what I want to hear. I want to hear the motorcycle. I want to hear the road. I just want to enjoy being out. And can't do that if all you're doing is thinking about your motorcycle. So, anyways, I hope you had a little bit of an insight. I don't think it's any more of a problem than anybody else goes through, and learning how to do things and getting the right tools, and you know, ordering the wrong things or too much of something, and then, you know, sitting back and looking and saying, was it all worth it? You know, tell you the truth, it is. It's all worth it. It's smooth behind right now. Makes it all worth it. So, anyways, I'm just gonna sign off from the actual audio recording, video recording, and just ride. So, and enjoy the road, and live in the moment.